Do you struggle with drawing faces at different angles? Hi, I'm Annie Cheng. In this tutorial, I will show you how to build a good foundation for drawing faces at the quarter profile. I will also explain why it is so important to have the facial proportions first. You will gain confidence in drawing the facial proportions and then the facial features. I'm using a graphite B pencil and a kneaded eraser because the pencil marks do not show up very well on videos. To draw a head facing quarter profile, we will begin with the cranium, which is ball-shaped or a sphere. If you still struggle with drawing the cranium or the ball-shaped sphere, please go back to my previous tutorial for help. Next, we want to measure and mark where the central vertical line is from the top of the face by drawing a line that drapes down the sphere. Now we draw a horizontal line across the surface of the sphere, which is like the equator that cuts the sphere in half. And this line meets the vertical line forming a cross at the center of the face. Because the head is turned slightly to the left, but it's not tilted up or down. The proportions of the three major sections of the face is very similar to that of the front-facing head. That means the three sections of the face that are about the same in length can be applied here as well. Basically, it's from the hairline to the brow line to the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the nose to the chin. These three are still about the same distance. For this head, though, we want to make sure that the sides of the sphere that gets a little squashed or flattened is now accounted for by drawing a smaller circle to indicate where the flat area is or where the circle or the sphere goes in. So I now adjust the original sphere to the area that is flattened by drawing or redrawing the line to connect the top to the bottom of the sphere. I indicate the mouth, which is still about 1/3 of the distance between the bottom of the nose to the chin. This is the line between the upper and lower lips of the mouth. Now the cranium structure is done, I can draw or establish the jawline of this face, that is quarter profile. I can also indicate the cheekbones both on this face's left and on the right. The cheekbones are important for establishing or help to create the volume or the width and mass of this face. I now want to connect the rest of the face together. The ear that is on the shallow side of the head, it's somewhere again between the eyebrow line and the bottom of the nose. Now I mark where the eyes are by drawing a line parallel to the brow line. Now the facial proportions are marked out. We need to go into the facial features. I need to erase a lot of the lines that I marked earlier so I can draw in the features. For me, the most important features to draw first are the eyes and the nose, or in particular, the distance between the eyes and the nose. I start the nose from the eyebrow line and move to the bottom of the nose. I draw the eye that is closer to the nose bridge, which is the eye that is farther from you. The eye that is closer to you is farther from the nose bridge at this angle, and it's also wider than the other eye. From the center of the face, I go down the nose and now mark the nostril and the right side of the nose wing. I draw the philetrum and mark where the both sides of the lips are. The side of the lip that is farther from you is usually narrower, not as wide as the side that is facing closer to you. At this point, I draw lightly and avoid going into details of any features until my features are in their proper places. I am still making adjustments to the proportions and the shapes of the face. When the proportions of the head and facial features are correct, then I go in and erase any of the structural or indicator lines so I can begin with drawing the face more completely. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you feel like you have been helped by this tutorial or simply enjoyed watching it, please support me by clicking the like or thumbs up button. What you've been learning so far is the Loomis method of drawing the head structure and facial features. And this is a typical human head which can be applied to either a male or female person. The typical male features include a wider or square forehead, lower cheekbones, and more angular jawlines. The typical female face usually has a less square or more rounded forehead, possibly more narrower, and also a rounded and not a square jawline. However, facial features can also be rendered to make a face look more feminine or masculine. For the more typical masculine face, I drew his hairline sort of like an M shaped. And the hair itself, you want to make sure that you add some bulk or volume by drawing a very soft line on top of the head. At this point, you may be asking yourself, why do I need to spend so much time in drawing the facial proportions first? Well, first, it helps you build a good foundation in drawing faces. When you understand the basic cranial structure and the spatial relationships between the facial features, and how these relationships change when the face is at different angles, you can draw faces that are realistic and believable. Secondly, the human eye is very good at seeing faces, and even people who aren't artists are able to see problems in proportions. You can draw very beautiful eyes, but if they're too far apart, people will know. Thirdly, when you understand the cranial structure and facial proportion, you will learn to draw faces more effectively. When you spend more time on getting the correct facial proportions, you actually reduce the time of getting frustrated. For many years, when I started drawing a person's face, I usually started with the eyes. And since I didn't understand facial structure or the facial proportions, the faces often turned out awkward or very unnatural. And for a long time, I can only draw faces that's turned to this angle that you see, but not the other way around. When you practice getting the facial proportions correct first, you are now able to change not only what you draw, but also how you see what you draw. I hate to sound like a broken record, but practice, practice, and practice. Draw smaller heads first until you become very familiar with the cranial structure and facial features. And don't draw any details, especially shading, until all the facial features are correct. Please click on the thumbs up button and leave any comments or suggestions in the comments section, as I will be producing more tutorials like this in the future.